What's going on, guys? Ted from Immersion here, and it's time for your long-awaited, and I'm sorry, extremely late, D&D weekly update. I've had a lot of shit going on in real life. Some crazy shit went down in my campaign the other week, so I haven't gotten around to this. I've been slacking on videos like crazy, but I'm hoping to rectify that this week, Halloween week. So happy Halloween if you're seeing this today and it's Halloween. So anyway. What do we have this week? We have an Unearthed Arcana. We have a bunch of stuff from Volo's Guide to Monsters, which will be coming out sooner than you think. And some really big answers that were in the Sage Advice that were ruled on that I think you might want to check out. So if that sounds interesting to you, you should stay tuned. Alright, so first up was the Unearthed Arcana that came out back on the 10th. That's a couple weeks back. Sorry about the delay on this. This is all about encounter building. Again, not my favorite kind of Unearthed Arcana articles. I prefer the more stat and class and race-based ones, but there was one on, like, future warfare, one on, like, siege warfare. So this one is an alternative way to build monster encounters, which, as you know, I'm sure as a DM, is important to know that you're not throwing too many things at your party that it's too overpowered, because again, you never know where the dice are going to land. So your party could roll all natural 20s and wreck your monster that should be much harder than them, or you could roll all natural 20s and wreck your party, so you try to have to balance that out. So this is an alternative to the version that you find in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm going to kind of walk through this a little bit. There's a lot more math, it seems, with ratios and things, so I'm not sure how I feel about it. I feel like having the experience and stuff works kind of well. It's simple, and there are websites like Cobalt Fight Club that sort of do that for you. But assess the characters. Take stock of the players. The system uses the characters' levels to determine the number of challenge rating of the creatures you want to pit against them without making a fight too hard or too easy. Should also take note of each character's hit point maximum, saving throws, how much damage strongest combatants and spellcasters can do in a single attack, and so on. You'll make use of any of these additional characteristics when you select monsters and encounter in step 4. Turn if you want to create a battle that pits one legendary creature against the characters, or if you want to use multiple monsters. Determine challenge ratings. The process for building fights that feature only a single legendary monster is simple. The table below shows which challenge rating to use for a single or for a legendary creature fighting a party of 4 to 6 characters, creating a satisfying but difficult encounter. For example, for a party of 5 9th level characters, a CR 12 legendary creature makes an appropriate encounter. For a deadly battle, match up those characters with a legendary creature whose challenge rating is 1 or 2 higher than optimal. For a fairly easy fight, use a legendary creature whose challenge rating is 3 or below challenge rating for an optimal encounter. So you can see for the first, here's your levels, what the challenge rating is based on the number of characters. So 1, if you're at a first level game, for 6 characters, it should be a challenge rating 2 monster, single monster. If it features multiple creatures, balancing it takes a little more work. First, you need to determine how many creatures the party will face, and that's where you kind of get into these ratios here. The following are broken up by level ranges, providing information for how to balance monsters for characters of 1st to 5th, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, and 16 to 20. To create your encounter, find the level of each character on the appropriate table. As you can see here, it's broken out into the level brackets. Each table shows what single character of a given level is equal to in terms of challenge rating, a value represented by a proportion that compares numbers of characters to a single monster ranked by challenge rating. First number is the number of characters of that given level. The second number indicates how many monsters are listed. Challenge rating, those are worth. Reading the row for first level characters from the 1st to 5th table, we see one first level character is the equivalent of 2 CR 1/8 monsters, or 1 CR 1/4 monster. Fortune reverses for higher challenge ratings, with a creature's CR half and higher becoming the most powerful more powerful than a first level character. The first level characters are equivalent to 1 CR 1/2 creature, while 5 are equivalent to a CR 1 opponent. So you can see this for multiple monsters, and then it kind of goes into more statistics about how to break it up. To save space on the tables, keep it simple. Some of the lower challenge ratings are missing from the higher level tables. Select monsters. Having used the table above to determine the challenge rating of the monsters in your encounter, you need to pick individual monsters. In addition to assess the monster's challenge rating, it's important to look at how many monsters might stack up against your group, hit points, attacks, Saving throws compare the damage a monster can deal to the hit point maximum of each character. Be wary of any monster capable of dropping a character with a single hit unless you intend the fight to be deadly. Add complications. While many D&D groups are more content to look at encounters in terms of combat, they have some complications you can add, like monster personality. If you have the time, create names and personalities for a few of the monsters. You can use the stuff for creating non-player characters. During the battle, you can use these ideas to inform how you portray the individual monsters and their actions. For example, one bandit gag might be an unruly mob of braggarts. Excuse me. While the other is always on edge and ready to break out a fight, and they have monster personality tables of a D8. So 8 different options. Monster relations. Are these rivals hatreds or friendships among the monsters in an encounter? Even if the characters don't try to talk to their foes, you can use the relationships to inform the monster's actions. And there's a D6 here, their relationship. Terrain and traps. Try to set up an area of battle so it will be challenging even without a fight taking place there. What things might draw the character's attention? Why are monsters lurking there? Interesting area features can help prompt improvisation and help keep things fresh. Look in the random dungeon section and then random events to go along with it. It's always cool to see this kind of stuff, which I am excited for. It is nice, because I do know some people have issues with the bonus experience, or not the additional experience, deadly encounter and things like that. I feel like this breaks it down a little easier. Unfortunately, it's 4 to 6, and if you get into a group with more than that, things might be a little bit difficult, or less, but I feel like that's the standard party size, 4 to 6. I personally like 4. I think keeping it to a lesser amount of players is easier. It makes combat things run smoothly, but it is what it is. Volo's Guide, coming out, early release, Wizards Play Network stores on the 4th, which is this Friday, or the 11th, or the 14th if it's a regular store. There's been several releases. There's this artwork, as we can see here, a Death Kiss, a Kieran, the Flail Snail, a Pitmaster, the Fire Giant, and Dreadnought. But they have released other things in advance. This is a whole thing about role-playing giants and giant ideals, giant background, basically, which is pretty cool. This is the Furbolg, which is a new race, which is awesome because it's the first Wisdom +2 race we've got that's official. It's like an elven giant mixture, sort of, from what I'm reading. Let's see, what else you get? Detect magic and disguise self using wisdom. Once you cast a spell, you can't use it again to finish a short rest. When you use this version of disguise self, you can seem 3 feet shorter than normal, allowing you to blend in with more humans and elves. As a bonus action, you can magically turn invisible until the start of your next turn, or until you attack, make a damage roll, or force someone to make a saving throw. Once you use this trait, you can't use it until you finish a short or long rest. You count as one size larger for carrying capacity, and speech of beast and leaf. You have the ability to communicate in a limited manner with beasts and plants. They understand the meaning of your words. You have no special ability to understand them in return. You have advantage on all charisma checks to influence them. And it's +2 wisdom, +1 strength. So it's a pretty sweet race. What else do we have? And the Froghemoth, a nasty frog predator monster here. That's a challenge rating 10. As you can see, it's fairly tough. If it takes lightning damage, it suffers several effects until the end of a turn, -2 AC, Dex, saving throws, and get reactions or multi-attack. Has 10 tentacles. It can make 2 attacks per turn with its tentacles. It can also use its tongue or bite. 10 to hit, 20-foot reach is huge. 3d8 +6. And a grapple check if it's huge or smaller. Huge or smaller, so that's most things. Until the grapple's end, the Froghemoth can't use its tentacle on another target. I'm sorry, it has 4 tentacles, not 10. Bite, 3d10 +6, and it can attempt to swallow a medium or smaller creature, which will take acid damage as long as it's inside its stomach. And its tongue, they gotta make a DC 18 strength check. On a failed save, the target is pulled into an occupied space within 5 feet of the Froghemoth. So it can make a bite attack as a bonus action. As you can see, this is in the bestiary section. We know we're getting at least 154 or 45 pages rather, and it talks about a little bit of the background about where it came from, and how it's revered by bullywugs. And we can see chapter 1, we don't actually get information on, yeah, monster lore, character races, and then the bestiary. So the first chapter is all about, you know, building the lore of the monsters that are found in the Forgotten Realms. Chapter 2 is some new races, which we can see here, Goblin, Orc, and Furball. And then bestiary is new monsters. Froghemoth, Miyagi, and Varbuli. I don't know how you pronounce it. I always said Varbuli because I thought it was funny. Okay, that's everything. Hero, which is the new book in the Homecoming trilogy by R.A. Salvatore of Drizzt. This is book 3. I believe, if I recall, the Homecoming series is the first time that Drizzt returns to the Underdark for many, many years, going back to Menzo Barenzown. Something akin to peace has come to the Underdark. The demon hordes have receded, and now the matron mothers argue over the fate of Drizzt. Even so, it becomes clear to one matriarch after another that while the renegade drow may come and go, Menzo Barenzown, the city of spiders, will crawl forever on. And so Drizzt is free to return to his home on the surface once again. Scores are settled as lives are cut short, yet other lives move on. For the lone drow, there is only a single final quest, a search for peace, for family, for home, for the future. Hero picks up where Maestro left off in a sweeping climax to an epic tale. I feel like it's probably just the climax to the Hero, the Homecoming series. But the way it's written there, it sounds like it's the climax to the story of Drizzt. I'm not sure if that's the case, but that could be the last one. Who knows? Keith Baker, the Decemberist, joined forces on the D&D podcast. Keith Baker of Eberron fame to design a game based on their album, Hazards of Love. Greg Tito, Shelly Mazzanoble asks guitarist Chris Funk about the process and how the band unwinds, playing games on the road. Chris Perkins talks about Mind Flayers on More You Should Know. Betrayal at House on the Hill expansion. This was one of the things Wizards of the Coast posted. They're big fans of Avalon Hill games, so the Widow's Walk expansion was released, so they just posted a lot about that. So I know it's a Wizards of the Coast. Is it Wizards of the Coast game as well? But yeah, so there you go. This is what's in the bag. This is a community poll. In our latest poll, we asked you for help in populating the contents of a giant's bag with the rare, unusual, and outright strains. Giants often carry rare treasures, like in Storm King's Treasure, or Thunder rather. 150 words or less. You can go ahead and submit your first and last name and an item to put. Note, we'll be collecting answers throughout the rest of the month. For reference and inspiration, you might also look at the Elemental Evil Trinkets. This is kind of where they came up with that. Which, if you haven't seen it, again, the links to everything you're seeing me go over will be in the description below. So you can see all these cool Elemental Evil Trinkets that were designed. I like trinkets. They're a goofy little thing that you can add in. There's a bunch of them. There's the base one in the Player's Handbook, the Elemental Evil one. There is also ones found in Barovian ones in the Curse of Strahd book, which I like better. Dungeons & Dragons, this is a Polygon article, changing the way they make books. Long story short, I read this article. This is by Mike Merles, saying how fantasy has changed since Game of Thrones came out. They're trying to write different books now, rather than writing them as just like it's like a... You have your monster manual, right? And it's just a book full of monsters. There's no lore in it per se, it's just an encyclopedia of monsters, basically. Their thought being is we're going to try to not write books like that, where it's just a book full of lore, or a book full of items or monsters. They want to write things as if it's a story. You can see this kind of in the Sword Coast Adventure Guide, as it is told from the perspective of somebody jotting all of this down. So this, Volo's Guide to Monsters, being a Volo's Guide, it's written in Volo's hand, as it were. He's writing stuff. You'll see, I don't think we see it in any of these things that are released here, but how there's like notes, there'll be like notes and cliff notes and things like in the margins from Volo and Elminster as they're arguing back and forth. Also, some really crazy stuff about Mind Flayers. I did not know Serifamorphosis this little kind of thing goes into people's brains and turns them into mind flayers. Did not know that. And then I learned about a couple of other things. Was the mind witness is when mind flayers capture a beholder and change it into an illithid. So this is an illithid beholder, basically, which is pretty crazy. This is a Gauth. This is a 125, 176, at least 176 pages. It's a different kind of beholder. Ever wondered what a hag is most likely to drive off the used car lot, or fancied a careful examination of the Kobold Pantheon? It's all in there, and something is going to light a fire in your mind and bring a richer, more memorable experience to the table. Races, goblins, orcs, and even something called a furbolg. Again, here's the thing on the various tyrants. You can see this is in the beginning chapters of the book. In the monster lore, this is all about death tyrants, eye tyrants, beholderkin, beholder hives. Here's the thing about anatomy of mind flayers. And then here's Alhun mind flayers as well. Pretty cool stuff. I'm so pumped for this. This book is going to be amazing. I can't wait. You know I'm going to do a what's new video. As soon as I get it, I'm going to drive home right away and just flip through the whole book and then do a video for you guys. Ari Salvatore was on the D&D podcast talking about the Homecoming series with Hero coming out. It's actually out now, the 21st, or the 25th rather. Chris Perkins dishes out about his favorite enemies appearing in Volo's Guide to Monsters, Eon T. These little guys, Harshnag got his hands on Volo's Guide to Monsters. I wanted to share this with us. This week we have a look at the Grung. Harshnag tells us that these little creatures may look cute, they are fierce, and you can find them next month in Volo's Guide to Monsters. These look like little baby bullywugs, but they're adorable. I want to fight them or have them as pets. I like frog creatures and like turtle creatures and stuff, so I'm super pumped about these little guys. There were various D&D Halloween cards that you can get for giants, and they're just really cool giant carved pumpkin that they showed. Or Demon Lord Halloween cards and giant Halloween cards. It's Halloween now, so by the time you're probably seeing this, it's not relevant. Okay, sage advice. Big stuff answered in this one. Stuff that I feel like some people know, but this being clarified in an official source really cracks open a lot of this. Something that people don't get: a frenzied barbarian using Great Weapon Master does not get extra attacks. You get one bonus action attack, either from Great Weapon Master or from Frenzied Berserker, not double. Battle Ragers are the only ones who can use spiked armor. I'm not going to read it here, but they fully clarify how brutal critical works with different weapons, like, say, a longsword or a greatsword. The extra dice, how that works. Very useful stuff. Dueling specifically states it's a weapon wielded in one hand, so dueling fighting style doesn't work with Battle Rager spiked armor, which is stupid in my mind. Bladesong is compatible with two-weapon fighting. Yes, intelligence bonus to AC is added for Bladesinger's Bladesong. Use a bonus action spell in the same turn as a wizard's benign transposition, or is that considered a spell also? The wizard's benign transposition feature isn't a spell, so you can do both. You can't take the same fighting style twice to get a +4 to your ranged weapons with Fighter Ranger. No, multiple instances of resistance do not stack to immunity. There are a few items that say in the Dungeon Master Guide and in other things, if you already have immunity to this item, or resistance to this item, it grants immunity, but it is not a base feature of the game. Standing up from prone is not considered using any movement, so you don't trigger any things that work on when you move, or an opportunity attack. The grappled, if someone's going to run by and you grapple them, you stop their movement, so it sets their movement speed to 0. And this is a big one: any kind of teleportation magic, or anything like that. The grappled condition ends if an effect removes the grappled creature from the reach of the grappler. And the big one for me, because people, I feel like, didn't realize this: when you roll a natural 20, your death save happens at the start of your turn. If you roll a natural 20, you gain 1 hit point, and you get that turn. You get 1 HP with that natural 20, you get up, and you have your turn. You can use half your movement to stand up from prone and do whatever you want to do, but you do still get your turn if you roll that natural 20. Ben Kweller is on the D&D podcast. Fan, and we spoke with him about what it's like to play with his crew while on tour. And well, you should know, Chris Perkins explains what makes Knowles special in Volo's Guide to Monsters. And lastly, there was this preview image from Volo's Guide to Monsters, which shows some kobolds. Looks like we're going to get some kobold information. Looks like they're about to drop a crate on this traveling wizard. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for this way long overdue and 20-minute long update video. There's so much stuff going on. I have so many ideas in my head, so many things I want to do. Happy Halloween to everybody, first of all. Right up here, you can click to check out Know Your Role. This is my weekly D&D stream that happens on Tuesday nights upstairs, which is soon to be downstairs once I finish building my gaming table, which I may stream me building the table. So if that kind of stuff interests you, keep an eye on our Twitch channel and go ahead and follow that. The links are in the description if you want to follow it so you stay up to date when we go live. But what happens in this? Guys, it gets crazy. This is our 53rd episode. I'm not going to spoil stuff too much for you, but you're going to be surprised at the outcome, I think. So it's pretty crazy. I'll talk more about it next week. I'll do more spoiler stuff. Kickstarter spotlight for this week, I believe, was Open Legend. I'm going to double check that. Which, if you don't know, you should go check out. Yes, actually, it is Open Legend. So, Open Legend RPG is a brand new RPG system that is fully successful on Kickstarter. They are going into many, many stretch goals. What is the game itself is completely free. You can download the core rules and start playing right now. I'll even put the link to that in the description if you want to go check that out as well. It's free. Go check it out. See what you think. But what's the Kickstarter for? It's for funding a physical copy of the book, so you can have, something in your hand to hold rather than reading it off the website, or get a PDF if that's more your style. But as well as to publish the campaign setting, which has new works by Ed Greenwood, the father of the Forgotten Realms, and Matthew Mercer, the Dungeon Master of Critical Role. Down the bottom is my DM Guild Spotlight. Boy, is that a long video. That is an hour and 40 minutes, that video. That is the Incarnate Last of the Lacers article on the Dungeon Masters Guild. That is basically Avatar in Dungeons & Dragons. Somebody took painstaking efforts, and his name escapes me right now, but he's the guy who did the Taroki, the Gambit class. Or Taraki, however you pronounce it. He did something that basically ports Avatar to D&D 5e. You could use that document and all that comes with it in and of itself to just play Avatar using Dungeons & Dragons 5e rules. And when I say Avatar, I mean Avatar The Last Airbender. Or if you wanted to incorporate the kind of aspects of lacing, as it's called, which is basically bending, into your own game, you could. And there even are rules on how you could fit it into the Forgotten Realms. It's really cool stuff. The video is super long because in the beginning I go through the physical article by myself, and then the end of it is me reviewing it with people that have actually played it in a one-shot that I ran. So anyway, guys, that was really long-winded. I'm out of breath. I'm tired. But you can click right down here to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have broke 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. I'm so thankful, and I'm racking my brain for things to do to show you guys things. I got a couple of video ideas in mind, maybe a couple of new video series planned as well. I got a lot of things filming and recording in the background, and I want to try to get to streaming some more, even if it's not all D&D, even if it's just like the occasional video game on like a random night. But anyway, guys, be on the lookout. I'm probably going to do a giveaway of some kind. I've got some codes I'm going to give away on Twitter for Gears of War 4. As well as I want to do some like D&D related videos. Maybe I'll 3D print minis or something and give those away. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great start to your week. Happy Halloween yet again. I will see you hopefully in a week and not be screwing up taking so long on these videos. But anyway, guys, I will see you